Welcome, folks, once again to Comin In Klutch, our sports podcast. That is every Monday from 6:30 to 7:30 on the Eric B. Media. And, of course, as always, our podcast is being brought to you by the folks at Troy City Mortgage and their partners over at the Walsh Title and Closing, working together to bring you the best home buying experience. Troy City Mortgage, the best place to get a mortgage in Massachusetts and Rhode Island, led by the great David Pereira. The team at Troy City have local roots, deep knowledge, and expert solutions to get you the very best mortgage possible. Give them a call at 508-207-5864. That's 508-207-5864. And the folks over at the Walsh Title and Closing to give them a call at 508-858-5725. That's 508-858-5725. Good evening, you sports heads. Welcome to another great edition, special edition, super duper Portuguese edition of Comin In Klutch on Monday nights. And of course, we have our very special guest, you one and only. You know who he is. I know who he is. You know you follow him. I know I do. The great Steve, Portuguese Realtor, to my right and your left. Steve, welcome, my friend.
Thank you very much. I appreciate
it. It has been overdue to have him on.
It really has.
Colby,
Nelly,
what's up, kid?
another day.
Another day, we're still on. I'm going to keep saying it, telling you. We're still kicking. That's how it goes. We're here. So if you don't like us, not know what to tell you, we're still here. So, as always, we always start with our opening vent. And, of course, I believe that I'm going first. Great. Excellent. Good. I appreciate you don't want to fight me on this. So, my opening vent, usually I thought about this. I think when I do my opening vents, I try to take a topic that we're probably not going to touch base on during the show, but I got to get it out. And it's going to go to the New England Revolution. You turds. You make me get out of my house on a Saturday evening after a gig. I had a performance.
That's tough.
It was rough. Scrambling. Got the kid jumping for joy. First game of the season. Ticket holder. Section 132, if you're wondering. Right in the middle. Super duper expensive. Overrated. And I sit there and we get to 24 minutes late. But of course, you can't hear the thing on the radio because it's on Sports Hub HD 2.3, whatever the hell that is. So I go and check it out, and I get in, no line, decent crowd. I sit down, and they got the Red Bulls, who I despise. There's teams that I despise, and there's teams I really despise. The Red Bulls is one. The Philadelphia Union, number two. And, of course, New York FC,
I was just going to say that.
number three. And Columbus Crew is probably in number four, but really it's those top three. It's the two New York teams and the Philadelphia Union. I can't stand them. So the Red Bulls are in town. They're in second place. They got 8 points. The Revs are sitting there with 5 points in 5 games or whatever it's been. And they lose this pathetic game with the terrible officiating. The worst officiating I think I've seen in person at an MLS game. Atrocious. 7 yellows, 2 different reds, and they're on them on the second half. First half was kind of even, Steven. 0-0 made sense. Bruce Arena's sitting there. He makes some substitutions. In comes in the big lunk. Adam Buxa comes in. They get rid of Josie Altador. Bum. Been a little bit of a bum. A little bit lazy up front. They want to say he's out of position. I think he's just lazy.
Overrated.
Very. Very. Thank you, Steven, for chiming in. And they give up an own goal on a counterattack. It was the only time that the Red Bulls came out of their zone in the second half. What a pathetic goal. I mean, it happens. I felt bad for Farrell. It was good to see Kessler back. Those two guys in the back line really solidify Kessler as a general back there. But, boy, what a terrible loss. And you lose. You had a couple of chances. That number 17 guy, Leggett, something like that. He has 2 chances. One was a good save by the keeper. The other one, he just blew it. Bo, mystery. He's in shape, not in shape, wants to play, doesn't want to play. I think he's a little banged up. My point is this. They're in trouble a little bit. I know it's very early in the season. There's 30-some plus games that they got to play. They're in trouble.
So why didn't you just jump out of the stands?
I felt like putting on my tracksuit.
Because I know how you are.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I was yelling. And there was a lot of talk going on, especially when there was the Reds and there was a play that went down, burning time. I get up, I'm like, what are you talking to him about? What are you talking to him about? What could you possibly be telling him? So I'm not happy with the team right now. They have the talent. They didn't lose a ton of stuff as far as personnel-wise, but T.J. Buchanan has been a loss that you can sense on that right wing. His speed, his vision, his ability. They got 5 points. That Real Salt Lake team game that I saw at the Super Bowl, with that snow game, that weird game, they have not been the same since that game. They need to take their heads out of their 4 points of contact. And then Bruce Arena needs to find a way to make this team play, because they didn't play bad, but they didn't play great. And that own goal, I know it happens, but you got to finish your chances. I don't see the smoothness, the transitions, the build-up, their construction from the back. It's just not happening. So they're a little bit in trouble. They're in the bottom. I think they can turn it around. They got the talent, but they're not doing well. And that game was abysmal. What a disgrace. What an absolute disgrace on that game against the pathetic Red Bulls. So they got now 11 points. You got 5. 5. They lost the Pumas after being up 3-0 in the CONCACAF. Thanks for playing. Parting gifts are at the door. Thanks. You couldn't hold that one together. You lose against that bozo team down in Mexico. The elevation, I don't want to hear altitude and elevation. It was bad for also Seattle. It was also bad for Nashville, Portland, so and New York FC as well. So they're not doing well, Cole. I don't like it. The game needs to get better. They need to polish up their formations. McNamara didn't have a great game. Carlos Heels did fine, but there's just some things that are just not happening. I think DeJuan Jones had a good game. I think Kessler had a very good game, but they're in trouble. They're in trouble right now. I don't like it. So they better fix it, or else I'm going to be a very miserable man the next several months.
Well,
that's all I got.
I want to apologize first because I wasn't able to catch that game because I was too busy watching WrestleMania.
Of course you were.
Which was really good.
I heard wonderful reviews.
It was really good. So my vent, I just can't take the shit anymore. I'm just going to be blunt. Okay. I can't. Okay. It pains me to be a New England Patriots fan listening to these idiots that constantly call in to our 2 to 6 show that we love to talk about here every week.
Yes.
And bash the Patriots. Oh, they suck. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. Every other team's doing this. Every other team's doing that. Well, first of all, I want to say, listen, we had 20 years of amazingness, okay, that we'll never, ever, probably ever see again.
Not in the NFL.
Okay? So, to me, it's like selfish, okay? I get it. Everybody wants their team to win. But there's going to be a time when the team's going to come down a little bit. They have to rebuild. They have to regroup to get back up. So, to think that Bill Belichick can just hit a switch and the team's going to automatically win 13 games.
I've been saying it for a while. Where's the incubator or the Stefan, Steve Urkel thing? I mean, isn't that how that's supposed to be?
Yeah, I mean, even today, just listen to, I had to change the channel. I'm just getting sick of these people calling. I can't. Belichick sucks. It's like, what the hell are you watching? First of all, what the hell are you listening to? All right. Because clearly whoever you're listening to is obviously screwing with your mind and making you think that like, oh, Belichick sucks. But without Belichick here, the Patriots ain't doing shit, first of all. Okay. And I just had enough. Just because we weren't the what do you call it? The winner of the free agency in the first 2 weeks, that means we're gonna suck. There's 5 effing months left in the offseason. Okay. Yeah. 5. Okay. Like, let's see what this team is in 5 months from now.
Yeah.
I'm not going to judge them right now. Who the hell cares what they look like right now? All that matters is come September, are they ready to go? And let's see what happens.
Steve, what do you got?
We got Parker.
We got Parker.
He should put us over the top, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we'll see. I do want to get into that. Obviously, that was a big move that happened relatively big move that happened over the weekend. It was a move that I think they needed to do in some form or fashion.
It was a move that no one thought was going to happen, right? Believe it or not.
And
the Dolphins and the Patriots making trades.
I think they gave up the bottom of the barrel to kind of get that player. And there were a lot of different talks about them. We'll get into it. So there you have it, folks. Our opening vent is not concluded. We'll take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll let Steve chime in as well. And we'll see you on the other end. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Coming In Clutch. Every Monday night, 6:30 to 7:30. Our phone number here, if you want to chime in, 508-974-3040. That's 508-974-3040. Again, coming out of the break, we had our opening event. I made my grandiose introduction to the great Steve, the Portuguese Realtor, to my right, your left. And I know you may want to see him do crazy stuff and have Gilly up on the ladder and then shooting birds and going after fire extinguishers. But today he's going to...
It's not that type of show.
Today we're going to be discussing sports stuff. I've had a chance to talk to Steve. Steve, man, welcome again, man.
Thank you. I'm going to be more of a moderator today.
No, I want you to chime in. I
like the energy you guys have, both of you. But I don't know how he did that whole vent without breathing. I mean, it was pretty impressive.
Yeah,
it really was.
Yeah, I think it's me being a musician, Steve. I had this massive sack in my body.
You got a massive sack. Now it's more like my show.
Yeah. Oh, I got this massive sack. These two lungs, people tell me, how do I do? I tell them I just keep blowing balloons, and that's what I get going. So, I want to be filtering some things that, some snippets of what Steve does in his show. Why not? Because his show is hilarious. I think it's good. And you can catch his show Wednesday night still Wednesday night?
Yes, sir. Wednesday night at 7 p.m. 7
p.m. It's a great show. It's hilarious. And Steve's a super creative guy. So, and he's a community guy too. So, we came out of the event. We were talking a little bit about the revolution in my event and how pathetic they've been, and a really slow start, crummy start, not so hot. A lot of games left, but they got to get better in kind of putting up some points, because they keep losing, dropping points. It's going to be an uphill battle all year in that game. In the game of soccer, it's not that easy to get points. Colby had his lovely vent about, I knew it.
Spoiled.
Yep. Spoiled rotten, you Pats fans. We got Parker, and you guys are still upset. So we're gonna jump right into that. So I was trying to analyze the situation and the trade, and from the surface, it looked, and I think it still looks like, a pretty good deal. We gave up a pick for next year, a third for next year, which we're going to get a compensatory pick back because of J.C. Jackson.
Don't even talk about those.
God
forbid you bring those up. Holy shit.
Yeah. No, those don't count.
Yeah.
So in the third round, it's still a respectable asset. It's still a good piece. You're in the day 2 of the draft, but you got back a receiver that I don't think has been particularly thrilled in being in Miami. How can you be?
Well, they definitely haven't utilized him the right way.
Who's been the quarterback?
Fitzpatrick. I think
Ryan Tannehill.
Yeah, we had
who got shipped out.
Tannehill, Fitzpatrick, and then Tua.
And there's been and the guy's done some things. He had a great year in 2019, broke 1,200 yards. And they just signed Tyreek. You're looking at the body of work. Did they really want Devontae Parker at that point? So these bozos on the 98.5, the sports, I want to talk about how it was a yacht sale and it was used goods and you can take it for free.
The Pats only got him because he's only got $5 million coming to him this year, $6 million next year.
So that's where this is going. Where I'm going with this, Cole. They're upset because the Pats were finding a deal that was not going to be expensive. That doesn't make any sense. Why would we want to pay top dollar for a guy like Parker when we could take a very affordable, user-friendly deal and keep a player that we need that has been a good receiver in the NFL? You're telling me, and sports fans, Pat fans, you've been telling us that there's an issue with the receiving core.
Correct.
Okay, I agree. We made a move. I'm sorry that it doesn't tickle your funny bone and doesn't make your sphincter, excited. The fact that we don't have a guy like Tyreek or DK Metcalf who could come.
Yeah, but see, but this is my other issue with this is that fantasy football has evolved, and this is why everyone gets so upset because they want that sexy guy on their team. Oh, I have Tyreek Hill on the Pats. He's going to get me whatever X amount of points.
Fantasy football is
I feel like fantasy football has killed the perception of really what teams need. You know what I mean?
Yeah. When I heard their analysis by Felger this afternoon, this is what he was all over the place. And the problem is that
which he always is.
He is emotionally distraught on Brady not being here. He just cannot get over the fact that Brady was let go, that Belichick is here. He's upset because the Pats gave up little to get a good. He's saying that he's a great receiver, and that's in his physique, 6'2", 220.
Definitely a big body guy.
Like, and then he's saying that he's upset on how they acquired him. What? He's upset because we didn't give up, like, we didn't pay $18 million a year. I don't get this. Of course, the Pats have always been nickel and diming for years.
Always.
This is what they do, Steve.
That's right. It's true. And that's how they've won 6 championships.
I was just going to say, but they've won 6 championships, newsflash, without a number 1 effing wide receiver on the team.
And when they had a number 1 guy,
Randy Moss. I mean, you got to say
but they never won, but they didn't win with him.
And they didn't win with him for some reason. You know, that still gives me nightmares. I still wake up with cold sweats. I got to put Vicks in my ass, you know, because it gets me all bottled up. So they had a tremendous receiver in 2007, and they fell a little short. They shouldn't have, but they did. And I know that Tom Brady fixed a lot of those blemishes. Again, this is not us to knock on Tom Brady. The reality is that the guy did what he did here. It didn't work out at the end, and we've said it a million times. Move on.
Bye.
That's it. See you later.
Yeah.
You know, and now you got a guy like Mac, who will see what happens. People are ready to throw this guy, you know, to the wolves. Sometimes one minute, Steve, they're talking about we got to get this guy pieces. The next minute, they want to trade him for like Matt Ryan. Like I don't. The inconsistency, Colby, comes down to this,
and that's why I vented. I can't deal with it anymore. I'm sick of
a lot of
hearing
pink
it.
heads.
You know, I can't.
Yeah,
exactly.
Well, that's what it is. I think that's exactly what it is.
Well, now you're starting to see it. That everybody was like, "Oh yeah, Pats," when they were winning, and now all of a sudden they're not winning. They're like, "Oh."
They don't know how to rebuild the team.
Like one guy called the other day saying, "Yeah, he's sick of Belichick and he sucks at what he's doing. I'm going to go root for the Bucs." Good, go root for the Bucs and stay there
with Ted Bowles' wandering eyes.
Yep, and when the Pats become good again by doing it the right way, don't come back. We don't want your ass back.
Yeah, stay down there.
You know,
stay down there. 508-974-3040. Of course, you know, we have the NFL draft coming up in a few weeks. So, of course, there's already talks out there. What do you have going on? What are you expecting the Pats to do? There's been a lot of different talks about what they can take in the first round. I believe it's going to be probably an offensive lineman or probably someone in the defensive line or a linebacker. I don't see them going after receiver. They very rarely have they gone that route that early. Well, I think N'Keal Harry is gone.
Well, I mean, what I can say about this trade now with Parker is that kid Jameson Williams there, he's out there from Alabama.
Yep.
So he had a torn ACL. He was supposed to be a top 10 pick, but that ACL injury is going to obviously hamper him a little bit.
Who is it? Is it Michi?
No, no, this is the other kid.
Oh, the other kid.
Jameson.
Okay. Michi has an ACL thing too,
but he should be ready for training camp where Williams is going to be.
Oh, I see.
But this goes to kind of show, like, you know what, maybe they can take a chance and draft him, whatever they, you know, if he falls down.
They love 5th rounds, 4th rounds.
No, I'm talking about in the first round with their first pick, because now they have Parker, where there's not a rush to get this kid back on the field now. You know what I'm saying?
You think they'll give up that high? They think they'll give that kind of?
I don't know. I mean, after Kraft's comments last week, I don't know. I don't know what the pressure is like. I don't know what he's thinking over there. You know, I mean, I don't know.
I think the Pats should stick on defense in the first round.
Yeah, I think so too.
And solidify that linebacker core, Steve. I think that defensive line, maybe another guy with Barmore. I think I'd like to see that happen.
Definitely.
You know, and they were knocking on the big kid there. Is it Davis? Jordan Davis?
Yes.
They were knocking on him because he's a freak of nature. Like Michael Fulger sounds like he just now saw him running.
The offensive lineman?
The defensive tackle for
Georgia?
For Alabama.
Yeah.
Right? The kid ran like a 4'8". He's 340 pounds. It's just
he's a freak.
So, but Fulger's making it sound like, oh, this is like news. This is old news. We saw the kid running. I was like, wow, yeah, he's a freight train. But of course, here we go. Well, you know, the Pats can never get that guy because you know, what are they going to do with that guy? Ha ha ha! They're not, those skill sets are not going to be used in the right way. You know, how often is a defensive tackle going to go after a guy? Well, he's going to get drafted as a first-round guy, and if he stays healthy, he's probably going to be a freak in his own position. Now, is the college game different than the NFL game? Of course it is. You know, do you need to have your defensive tackle, defensive lineman go after players? Probably not. But if he can bull rush, if he can get past the offensive line and get that much faster to the quarterback, that's an asset. He's thinking, what a bozo. He's thinking, well, that speed going side to side. It's not a side-to-side thing. You have linebackers and corners and safeties to take care of that side to side. You need a guy that once he penetrates, how quick can he get to the quarterback? because those guys are kind of slow. Most of those guys are slow, right? They break containment. And then they have a tough time maybe getting there because they're not the fastest guy. But this guy has his speed to get there. Don't be surprised if he winds up getting close to double-digit sacks. He could, So the trade happened. Yes, folks, you have another receiver, and that receiver is a very serviceable receiver. There's been talks about his soft tissue issues that he's had.
I'm just laughing.
Soft tissues.
Because these idiots today.
Yeah. So look how deep they're digging deep, boy. Soft tissue issues that could create a problem. So they go through his games that he didn't play since 2015.
Yes.
A screw broke in his foot. 2015 missed 3 games. 2016 he had tissue issues, soft tissue issue in that same foot. Lost 2 games. Had a fractured finger. Lost 2 games. His fat Jim Murray. You can't just tape up that finger. I know you're a receiver, but you can't just go back out there and play. So now they think that he has a soft mentality. That's what they're thinking. I've never heard of Devontae Parker having a soft mentality. I've always heard as being a tough guy. And here's Felger, all boned up. Man, this guy, he's got a great attitude, hardworking guy, doesn't get in trouble with the social media stuff. And then on the same token, he's upset because they got a great deal. I don't know. So it's very confusing. But what do you want to what do you want to see, Pats fans? Did you want to see them make a move in the receiver? Was that move sexy enough for you, or do you need more? What do you want to see out of this team? Do you want to see a balanced team of running and passing with play action? Or do you want to have a run-heavy team and look like maybe you're playing football like the 1970s?
Well, I was just going to say, now with the addition of Parker, right? You have Parker, you have Myers, where, okay, Myers isn't a sexy name, but, dude, he's been reliable.
Yeah,
last year he played.
Strong number 2.
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah.
And then you got Kendrick Bourne, I love Kendrick Bourne.
I think he's a good version of Devontae.
And think about it. Then you have Aguilar. If Aguilar can figure out the playbook, dude, that guy's the speed guy. You know what I'm saying?
So you just got to figure it out.
And then you also have Hunter Henry, Jonnu Smith. So people forget they have plenty of playmakers on this team. Yes, they're not named Tyreek Hill. They're not named Cooper Kupp, but you don't need to have 5 of those 6.
The Patriots have never had those guys.
And that's what I'm saying.
Never.
Well, the thing with me is that last year I noticed that the Patriots, right up until the bye week, looked like one of the stronger teams in the NFL defensively. I don't know what the hell happened to that team that they broke down after the bye week.
Something went wrong.
I just don't get it. So, how much work do we need on that defense? I know we need some because we lost J.C. Jackson. And I'd like to personally see them get a cornerback in the first round, but who knows? It all depends who's available.
Who's available? Yeah. And there's some guys, the kid that I've been talking about has been that kid, Nassim Elam. Kid's from Florida. I think it's Florida State. 6'1". He's probably going to go like in that 40 to 50 range. Draft, second day. The kid just is a banger. I mean, he's got a good size. He covers pretty well. Got a good nose for the ball. And you're right. The defense out of the bye week, something drastically went wrong. I don't know if it was a Steve Belichick issue.
I just don't get it.
It was really, it went like a complete 180. And, it's going to be this great mystery that I'll never quite understand, because a couple of games that we win that we should have won, then the team changes the seed and maybe we're at home versus being away. Maybe we're getting, I'm not saying we're getting a bye week, because the bye week is obviously much more tougher now to get, but maybe you get a home game there.
Who knows
and maybe you face, who knows, maybe you get Cincinnati, who wound up going farther than what you think, So, something did happen there on that bye week. And, Mac Jones is also a kid. I say kid, because he's younger than me. That he mentioned that there was a lot of challenges. He admitted the differences and the challenges.
First year player, I think the kid did great.
I thought he did okay.
I think he did really
So,
good.
Steve, let me ask you this, because a lot of people say this. Are you one of those that already want to get rid of him, or
No, absolutely not. I think the kid showed a lot of grit. He faced some tough challenges. Obviously, any rookie does coming into the NFL.
Yeah,
but we don't have that big playmaker like wide receiver. I mean, we have some pretty good ones, but not that big playmaker.
No,
give the kid someone who goes a little, downfield a little bit.
A little more.
That's what happens, right?
But I don't know. I mean, that's just me.
I'm with you. I think that the kid needed to have a chance to have a guy that is like his binky. Whether it's a slot guy, whether it's an outside guy, typically the slot guy is the one you want to go to.
Bring it back.
Yeah. Well, again,
is he going to Tampa?
No, man. I hope not. Oh no.
No. I think he said he would never.
No, I don't think he would do
Give
that.
him the Mac for 1 year, just 1 year.
Yeah. Well, 1 year would be fine. What about the talks of DK Metcalf?
So again, there's always these conflicting reports. Oh, the Pats are done. I don't think, again, they're not done.
What if they get DK
Listen,
Metcalf? Have you seen that contract?
Listen, last I saw is that they were in talks with Metcalf.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what I saw too.
Who knows? Anything could happen. Okay. And the other thing that I heard that I sent you yesterday was that AJ Brown's not happy in Tennessee. Okay. And that the Jets are trying to trade for him, but he said his preferred destination is the Patriots.
Right.
And looking into that, he grew up a Patriots fan. Okay. So I don't think anything can happen. Okay. And if you get one of those guys with Parker,
everything changes.
I mean, again,
everything
changes. People want to criticize the
because
Pats so fast. And it's like, dude, you still got all these months left in the offseason.
Exactly. They wanted that day one splash because they got it last year.
It's not what BB does.
That is not how it works.
Exactly.
That's not how it works. 508-974-3040, folks. There's some of your talk there with Devontae Parker. I think I'm in favor of. I thought we gave up very little to get. It was a great return back. Valuable thing. God forbid it being valuable, because God forbid you get a good deal, because none of us want to pay a good deal. Everybody wants to pay a premium like your fuel at the pump, I'm sure. So if you enjoy paying premium prices, then I guess the Patriots stunk it up on this one.
Well,
but if you enjoy getting a good deal like I do because I'm Portuguese and I'm cheap, then I thought it was a sensational deal. I gave up cookie crumbles and I got back cookies.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with this trade, all right? But again, why is Miami trading Devontae Parker to the Patriots? Miami must see something that's,
Miami's idiot. They're stupid.
But can I say
They made
something?
a bad deal.
Can I say something?
They really did.
They traded us Wes Welker. Okay? And people forget that. The Dolphins traded us Wes Welker.
Well, you know what?
And look what happened to Wes Welker.
Well, the difference is, Colby, according to the terrestrial radio, which stop listening to, folks, and listen to us. The issue was that 15 years ago, the Pats was so far ahead, and
give me a break.
And it's like Wes Welker was sitting down there as a kick returner and a punt returner. He used to kill us. Steve.
Yeah, right.
And then they took him because they saw something there. Bill likes guys who beat us and kill us.
And listen,
because if they can kill
Parker twice a year.
Oh yeah.
Think about that. He's seen him twice a year for the past 5 years?
You got it. All right, folks, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back and do some more sports talk. And don't go anywhere. We're going to have Steve on for most of the show, as long as he wants to stay on.
Absolutely.
And don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back, folks, to another edition of Comin In Klutch every Monday, 6:30 to 7:30. Got my very special guest, my partner in crime, number dos, behind my number one partner in crime, the crazy Colby Torres, to the far right and your far left. Steve, welcome back.
Thank you, man.
I appreciate you once again for coming here and talking sports with us. And I also wanted to thank you for letting me come on your show a couple months ago. That was a lot of fun. Boy, is that show crazy.
Pleasure's all mine.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So coming out of the break, folks, we talked a little bit about the move with Devontae Parker. and a little bit of the NFL draft. We'll get more into the NFL draft as we go and as these mock drafts start coming out. But we're going to shift some gears and go into some hoop talk. So we have now solidified the final matchup of the NCAA. And 1 for 2. I really wanted Villanova to get in there. We talked about this at being a Big East team in the Kansas, which in my bracket, I had Kansas in the final.
There you go.
So I did make it for that one, but the other one was Gonzaga, not even close. So there you have it. We have now the last 2 games. The last game, the last 2 opponents. And Kansas is in there, and they're facing UNC, who people once again had shut out and not thought of anything. And here they are. They beat Duke, which makes me jump for joy. And that rivalry with Coach K and Duke and UNC, boy, is that ugly. That has been ugly for a long time.
50-50.
I was just going to say that. Yeah.
50%. Unbelievable.
I think it's the one team that he has not a losing record, but not a winning record.
Not a winning record, exactly. Yeah. That's a team, Steve, that he just can never get that significant push across.
Good.
That team, which was fine by me. So, Coach K, lovely career. Get your ass off. I'm all done with you. You've won too much, and you coaching. You coached the USA national team, and you did some good things there. But I'm kind of done. The whole year was just such a saga of this guy.
Listen, if he made it to the championship, I was going to say it's definitely rigged. There's something there.
If I had it planned. If they had gone to the final, I was going to bring in Oozy Slime because of just the oozing of people just salivating with Coach K. And I know Tatum went there and he spoke highly of him too. I'm telling you,
but he only played 1 year.
They must drink like Coach. It must be like a special K, Kool-Aid K that happens when you get on Duke because they are just all about this guy. And I know he's been around since 1980, I believe.
Long time, man.
The birth of my year.
Did you know that?
That's when this whole amazingness came into this world. Cool, 1980. Yep.
It's a good year. I was just going to say, did you know that Duke and UNC are only like 10 minutes apart?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep. Tobacco Road, right?
I wonder if they egg each other. Like throw shit at each other. Like do like those 80s movies that they used to talk about fraternities and those dorky movies. I wonder if that's what happens there.
Dude, that was a huge game on Saturday. Now,
tremendous.
Why doesn't Jordan go to a game like that? He doesn't do much, does he?
No.
Michael Jordan?
No.
He just wants to golf.
But
yeah.
Because when you look at UNC's jersey, he's got his symbol right on it.
I don't get it.
He's nowhere to be found.
You would think at a game like that with Coach K that would have been a perfect opportunity for him to.
Perfect.
It's a great point. Didn't even think about the fact that Jordan not being the UNC guy talks about UNC all the time, and I was watching a highlight the other day when he went up against the Len Bias, the great Len Bias, may he rest in peace. Seeing that those two go at it, and like Jordan was a freak, man. The guy was a tremendous player in college. But you're right.
There's
Steve.
no denying that.
No question. The guy's not there. A game like that. So if you're heartbroken about your Duke going down, I have a couple friends. Ryan Barabee. I hope you're on, but you're probably not. You're probably getting your hair did. And Ryan, I apologize that you could take that Duke jersey. I think he has a Christian Laettner jersey. What a dork. Christian Laettner. That's the best you could find. Yep. He has that going on, of course, right next to his TB12.
Of course.
Buccaneers, of course. So they're down. UNC is in. Kansas is in. Predictions. I'm going to tell you, man, I think I'm just going to take UNC. I think that story of them being a number 8 seed, I think I don't like the kid Remy. I told you Remy Moore, I don't like him. I don't really like Kansas. I know Paul Pierce came from there, unfortunately, but I've never liked Kansas.
See, I look at it differently because I don't like UNC. I don't like Duke. I don't like any of those programs. But to me, as a huge Friars fan, obviously, that Friars loss, as much as it hurt. I mean, think about it. They lost by 5, and they played that team.
They outplayed them in the second half.
Yeah. So I mean,
what a game.
So to me, for you to lose in the tournament, I want to lose to the national champion.
There you have it. So there is now Colby's version there. He wants Kansas. It's a very good point. I just hated Kansas. I think I'm just resentful of them taking out PC. And obviously, PC, kind of shot themselves a little bit in the foot.
Quick PC plug. Congratulations to Coach Cooley for winning the Naismith Coach of the Year, the National Coach of the Year.
That's well deserved. That guy.
He actually coached my favorite team. So I'm a big Boston College fan. I've been following Boston College since 1980 with ice hockey because that's my sport. But Cooley was awesome there in BC, and he moved on to bigger and better things, I guess. But BC hasn't been relevant in a long time.
I know.
Yeah, right.
What's funny is I every time I talk about BC, I remember the Troy Bell days, Jared Dudley. Like that's when they were really good. That team was really
Dana
good.
Barrows.
Craig Smith.
Dana Barrows. Oh man.
Yeah,
Holy
that's right,
smokes.
Yeah.
Well, the finals are again, the games are in. So I'm gonna go with UNC. And it looks like Colby's gonna take Kansas. So I like your reasoning. I think I'm just bitter about Kansas.
I don't like either team.
Me neither.
So it's like,
Me neither. I'm not a big fan either. So what I will say is that the women's game, if you think I hate Coach K, boy, you should see how much I hate the knucklehead and douchebag from the UConn ladies program. Boy, what a turd bucket.
Yeah,
what a turd bucket. This guy gets so much accolade. He's like 1,005-2. You coach women's basketball, dude. Take a seat.
But his team really wasn't that great this year.
They really weren't. They really
That's
weren't.
what I heard. I don't know.
And they got pounced.
Well, listen,
oh man,
They
those
always get
girls.
the number one
Listen,
girl
I-
though in the country.
I was gonna
They
say-
always.
I
get the
know.
number one girl.
Right. They always do. It's like they go to another one. They get on UConn and they just start drinking UConn juice. We must be UConn. I want to be a Husky.
but listen, as much as you
Unbelievable.
don't like Ariama Gino, right? The coach he played yesterday, Dawn Staley, she's a really good women's coach.
Oh, I thought she was. She's excellent.
She's amazing, and I think she's a better coach than he is.
I think so too.
Because
and
she's
girls-
won a lot of national championships.
Dude,
man.
those girls. Some of those girls, those women that were playing against. It was
Great shooters.
was it Carolina?
South Carolina.
South Carolina. And I'm watching the game, and they're taking to them, and I'm excited. At one point, it was like 20-8 or
Listen,
something.
UConn got their ass handed. to
Oh
them
my!
yesterday.
Hey, I was just loving it because they're having the answer. You're such a genius in the women's NCAA tournament, you turd bucket. Couldn't figure it out, I guess. Couldn't figure it out. That 2-3 zone ain't working today. Oh, I was just loving. He's walking back and forth. He's pacing back and forth. Mr. Willikers, he's back and forth, back and forth. He had no answer, Steve, and I'm just loving it. 3. I want. All that was missing was having one of the girls dunk on his girls. That's all that was missing on that game.
I don't watch much women's basketball. I think they're great, but is there any other team that has a male coach, or is it just UConn?
No, I think there's a few, but I think there is a few, but no, I understand what you're saying. Because to me, it's just like I said, I like Dawn Staley, but like she should be the women's coach. You know what I mean? I don't know.
She's got the right attitude.
I mean, it's weird. I don't know. I guess we'll never know how that is.
We'll never know. But I am
Coach,
excited.
You know what I mean?
I'm excited just because, again, listen, UConn's program, all kidding aside, UConn's program for the women's, if your daughter is a tremendous basketball player, of course, your aspiration would be for her to go to UConn. I get that. But it was just nice to just see a different flavor, a different feel, a different team. They played different. They played grinding. They defended well. They blocked well. Their fast breaks were really good. And South Carolina deserved to win that game, hands down.
I mean, I'm not great with names, and I apologize.
Neither am I.
Would you put Gino up there with that coach from Tennessee, the women's?
Pat
Summers. Would you put him up there?
I mean, if you look at his teams from back in the day, I'm not gonna lie, he had some wagons. I mean, think about it. I mean, again, we don't watch much women's sports here, but like Sue Bird, Diana Taurasi.
Yeah.
I mean, and everybody knows those two names. They're household names.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I unfortunately, Steve, I'd have to put him in that category. I would. But I got to be honest. I just got to be honest.
But lately, I don't know. I don't think his teams have been the same. But he did have some really good teams back in the day.
And a lot of those teams were actually staples and barometers and were paramount in that WNBA program.
It really was.
And that a lot of those women who wanted to become professional. And I'm all about seeing women become professional athletes and do what they love to do. And the work of being a good athlete, regardless of gender, is a hard road. And then that program solidified a lot of those things and opened up that avenue. So I am happy for that because I think the women should have their sport. And the WNBA is actually quite popular. And I will tell you the reason why I watch it, folks, is because I don't have, and I mentioned it last week, the AAU kid, right, who's a gifted prodigy child. He doesn't really, they don't really teach him defense. They want to show him how to dunk and how to hit threes and all that. In the women's game, there's just more basic, fundamental, good basketball.
There really is.
That's played. Ball moves around. They're coming in and out of their spaces. They're getting into their spots. They use the inside paint. They look for those hooks. No one really dunks. So there's not a lot of flashiness there. It's just jumpers, shooters, and inside game. And I love that. It's very vanilla for some of you, and I understand that. But the game is played the way I think it was intended to be played for the most part. For the most part, where you have that high percentage shot and you're looking for that good shot. You're watching the clock, and I think that's why I watch it. I mean, I don't watch it religiously, but I watch it enough where if it's on, if the Mystics is on, if the Mystics on and the Sparks are on and the good teams are on, I'll watch it.
Is there a Boston team?
There is
it's Connecticut.
Yeah, the Connecticut Sun.
So there's no Boston team.
No, there is no Boston team. I thought maybe they were gonna find Lucky's girlfriend, Luckette.
The Boston Luckies.
Yeah. And I want them to wear inappropriate content, and have anyway. So it would be great. I would like to see that. It would be kind of fun, but they have one in Connecticut. So, but now we're gonna go into
the big boys.
So your Boston Celtics, folks, ladies and gentlemen, had a phenomenally interesting game against Miami that I went to. I told you I was going to go to that. And it was their first game without Robert Williams. But they are your number 2 seed. And without Robert Williams in the lineup, looks a little more optimistic. Maybe he'll come back a little bit sooner. But I think it's 6 weeks.
I don't know. Did you hear the report the other day?
I heard.
More on the 3 weeks to 4 week side.
I tell you,
it wasn't a full tear.
Well, then, yeah, that's right. I wanted to make sure that was official. We got official word on that. Okay,
yep, that was Woj. That was a Woj bomb.
Okay. I trust him.
It was meniscus, right?
Yeah, but it wasn't a full torn meniscus. So remember I told you I didn't think it looked bad when I saw it. I watched it on TV, and it didn't look terrible. All of a sudden, I was like, torn meniscus, man. It didn't look like it was going to be, but there was only a partial tear. So more MRI work, CAT scans showed that was a situation. So here's where I want to go with this. Once again, these terrestrial bozos that are on the radio. So the Milwaukee Bucks.
I already know where you're going.
The Milwaukee Bucks, who are the number 2 seed, lost yesterday to Dallas. Pretty convincing loss. Like they were never really in it, Steve. They were never really in it. And the Bucks, to me, are either studs or duds. They either play great, and Giannis, the Greek god of love and magic and happiness, Venus de Milo on Swansea GAR Highway, he has moments of greatness, and he's been a great player for quite some time. And they have moments when they're just duds.
Yeah, you're right.
And they fall short to a team that the Celtics lost. The Celtics won convincingly. And the criticisms are very moot around here, especially in the 2 to 6 show where Michael Fulger is a Bucks fan because he's a Milwaukee guy.
Well, you know what he said today?
What did he say?
He did say the one team he is scared to face as a Bucks fan is your Boston Celtics.
There we have it. He finally came out of the woodwork.
Only if they have Robert Williams, though.
Oh, so now he used to make fun of Mr. Time Lord. Look at the Time Lord. What a stupid name. Now all of a sudden, he's on the bandwagon because Robert has had a really good season. The loss to Miami is where I want to go with this. The loss to Miami. I watched the game. They hung tough with them. They played a pretty good game. Defensively, you could feel there was a little emptiness there, Steve. They were trying to find that guy in the middle, and they could almost feel like they were trying to get that going.
Like they were trying too hard.
Yeah, I think so too. And they had the lead for a while, and then they wound up losing it at the end. And I think the plays that happened, with Jimmy Butler and
the game that went to overtime.
No, it didn't go to overtime. It got close, but it didn't go to overtime. Adebayo I tell you, I didn't see it or sense his presence, but he had a good game.
Yeah, but I think he's a little overrated.
I think so too.
These people are talking about Bam Adebayo like he is freaking Patrick Ewing down there.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, you had a great game against Tice and friggin' Al Horford. Okay, I want to see what you would do against a healthy Robert Williams, because those are all 2 different people. 3 different people right there.
So I get out of the game. I put on the radio.
Adam Jones
is already on, and the dark night of death. Already, Steve.
You got that right.
Oh, that was this is what happens when they don't have anybody in the presence. Miami has their number, and they took it to them. Miami's the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference.
And that's false, because if the Celtics won that game, they would have swept the whole season series against Miami. They've already beat Miami twice or 3 times this year, and people aren't talking about that.
Well, they're not. They're talking about.
They just want to talk about this one loss.
That particular loss, and it was right at the tail end. They couldn't close it out, Steve. I was there watching it. There were just some kind of tough decisions. I thought Marcus got a little happy with his shot.
Oh, forget
You
about
know,
it. When he
and
gets
then
happy,
he
forget
gets
about it.
happy-go-lucky, and he had about 7 or 8 shots that were just terrible shots, bad shot selection with Marcus. What is your opinion on Marcus Smart, Steve?
I like Marcus Smart. I think he's one of the better defensive guys in the league. The guy plays with heart. I mean,
No, he
he
does.
goes all out. I
Yes,
mean,
he does. He really
regardless of
does.
his body and whatnot. Here's the thing I want to talk about. There was one game last week. I tuned in and I see the Celtics are winning, right? And then I come to find out that like they had 4 of their starters, their main guys, did not play.
Yeah,
What game was that?
That was the Toronto game.
Okay, now
The Toronto Raptors.
why 4 of our guys didn't play that game? Why 4? 4 top guys.
Yeah.
So here's the other issue now that, of course, people love to bring up.
Not 1, not 2, 4.
So because they played in Canada,
Okay.
and Canada has the vaccination rules.
All right.
They were
See, I
saying
wasn't aware.
they were saying that the Celtics were using, like they said, Al Horford was out for personal reasons, and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown were arrested. Like, I don't know, but I mean, this whole thing is just a crock of shit, anyways. But
Yeah.
So that was what that was about. But again, it's the end of the season. I would have rested some guys. Honestly, you're playing the Toronto Raptors.
So what happens in the playoffs?
I don't know. We'll find out.
That's where the mystery is. So now the problem is that the media, Steve, has been asking the players, have they been vaccinated? It's a very personal question. Jaylen Brown is involved with the Players Association, the union. I think he's like a vice president.
He's a vice president.
He's a big deal. You think Jaylen Brown is going to tell you his vaccine status?
Here it is.
So now Rich on the morning show that with Touch for Rich,
Yes.
he's making it sound like he has the answer, the perfect question. He wants to ask. Ready for this question? He wants to ask it. Who is eligible to play? Think about that. That's a weird question. Eligible. What are we talking about? Like going to college, like eligibility? It was a weird. He thinks by him asking the question, like, oh no, who's eligible to play, that will get the answer out. Dude, they're still gonna know that you're trying to ask a question about a vaccine. You know, I think that not every Celtics is vaccinated. I don't think that they're a clean-cut vaccinated team. And that's why I want nothing to do with Toronto, because that is going to put such a distraction on what's at stake here. This team right now is slotted to get very deep.
But even with that distraction, if that's what you want to call it, even if, say, Brown can't play in Toronto, okay, the Celtics should still wipe the floor with the Raptors.
The Raptors, right.
You know what I'm saying? They should win those games.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to go out there at the most 3 games. The most will be the 3, and that's if it goes to 7.
I think it's a 5-game. Is it a 5-game?
Maybe
in the first round?
I don't know. They've changed it up and down. I thought everything was 7 now. But you know, why is it that the minute there's a little bit of traction of a Boston team, Steve, doing well, these local, I'm telling you, the sports radio on the radio, the negativity, it's beyond disgusting.
It has to be. It has to be negative. They can't have any. You can't.
They get
you
the
can't be
ratings.
positive.
Yeah. Well, that's it. You know, that's got to be it. You know, that's got to be it. So, I actually thought that they didn't play as bad. I thought their defense was fine against Miami. Was it as locked down as it should have been? No. I think the biggest issue in that game was Marcus Smart taking shots he shouldn't have taken. And I think Grant Williams, bubble butt, had, probably his worst game of the season. He didn't have it. He didn't have it. But Brown had a great game. But what I didn't like, and I will call it what I see it, 5 minutes left. You're keeping it close. The ball has to go through Jason Tatum.
Of course.
Jason Tatum
Of
had a lull there. Cope. He had a situation there, Steve, where he didn't even touch the ball.
He wasn't shooting well anyways, but that's still not an
The
excuse. not to give him the
offense
ball.
has to go through him. The game is tight. You win that game, that's a huge win. For you to first game real without Robert Williams, that'll be a huge win. And then the ball's going through everybody else except him.
Mhm.
And that's not what I want to see. I need Jason Tatum, if he's a top 5 candidate for the MVP running, top 3 at some places, he needs to be able to say, I want the ball. In basketball, more than anything, when we've been watching hoop for a long time, there's a killer instinct that certain players have that want the ball. Jordan had that. Kobe had that. LeBron, to a certain degree, at times would have that.
Correct. Yep.
The great ones have that. And I have said this a million times, and the Jays, Brown and Tatum, are putting up numbers, Steve, that you probably saw in the 80s with McHale and Bird.
Absolutely.
The difference is those guys won championships, and these guys have not yet.
Not yet.
And if they win one, that's already a huge thing, considering that Paul Pierce took forever to get one. And Paul Pierce's number has been retired, correct me if I'm wrong,
Correct.
as well as Kevin Garnett's,
Mhm.
right? So,
Kansas guy.
yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. Paul Pierce, I know. The Jayhawks. I'll never forget him about that. But anyway, but I think the Celtics. My prediction with them is they're going to go pretty deep. They've now locked in. The minute that team ratchets up the defense, that team changes.
And can I say something else? This is a little off topic here, but so everyone's talking about, watch out for Brooklyn. Did you see that pathetic game against the Atlanta Hawks? Okay. The season's on the line. Okay.
Yep.
There's no excuse. Kyrie Irving's in the lineup. There's no excuse. Kevin Durant's in the lineup. Durant scored 50 freaking points and they still lost that game.
At 50 burger.
And you know what people aren't talking about? The only way they get in now is they have to play that playing game. That's it. They have to play the playing game.
I want them out.
So today they're talking about, the Celtics might line up against Brooklyn. First of all, the 1 seed might line up against Brooklyn at number 8. Brooklyn's playing that playing game. Whoever wins that is the 8 seed. Brooklyn isn't going to be a 7 seed.
No, they're not.
Why isn't anyone saying that?
Yeah.
These guys just spew shit out of their ass sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 508-974-3040. The Brooklyn Nets did get pounced. I'm glad you brought it up because I was going to be going into that next topic. And Durant, probably the best basketball player on the planet. And here he is once again, putting up a 50 burger, and the team still can't win. That team is not for real.
Because they can't play defense. The defense sucks.
They are so lazy.
Steve Nash sucks. I don't care if Steve Nash was a good basketball player. He sucks at coaching.
He should stick to soccer.
Yeah, exactly.
he was a soccer commentator. I thought he did better there. 508-974-3040, folks. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll come back with some more sports talk, and we're going to continue to have our man, you know who he is, the great Steve, the Portuguese Realtor, the funny man. And he has his show on, Steve, one more time before we go.
Wednesday, 7 o'clock.
7. You know what it is, but I'm just kind of trying to make a plug because that's all I really have here. And we'll see you soon. Don't go anywhere. And we're back, folks, to another edition of Comin In Klutch every Monday night, 6:30 to 7:30 on the Eric B. Media. So we came out of our last break talking some hoop talk, in case you missed it. Little NCAA, men and women. So don't feel like we're just going to be sticking to one side here. And we went into the Celtics as well. And your Celtics, yes, they are number 2 seed. And they are ahead of those Milwaukee loser Bucks. Let me tell you,
big game against them Wednesday night too.
Yep, it's a big one. They got 2 games left, playing Chicago away, and then they're playing the Bucks away. So predictions on the game, Cole, before we go into our segment with the Sox. What do you got against the Chicago game?
I think they should win that game. Chicago started the season off hot. Everybody's like, look out for
Me
the Bulls.
too. Oh, yeah.
They've gone downhill.
Boy, yeah, they
And they've
flaky,
gone-
flaky,
It's
Steve.
been fast.
Man, they have been just.
They need Michael Jordan to walk through that door.
Yep, boy. Those Bulls became turds.
You got
I'll
that
tell
right.
you, boy, they are not playing well at all. What about the Bucks game? That's gonna be a big one.
It is going to be a big one. I think they should. I think they should pull it off. It's going to be interesting to see how they contain Giannis without Robert Williams.
Right,
but
right.
again, that's why Ime's here. Let's see what him and his coaching staff comes up with.
I want to come up with this foregone blanket conclusion, Steve, and Colby. I think when they defend for real and they lock down and use their defensive schemes that Ime has bought in on, I think they're a very difficult team to beat. That defense, the way they defend, the way they smother, they do such a good job in double teaming the guy with the ball, regardless of who's there. They make that player make it a forced pass, create a turnover, a bad shot. If they can turn up and ratchet and tighten up that defense against the Bucks will break. They have to defend though. The rebounding, the defending has to be basically the same formula, Steve, that I think has got them here this far. Here's a team that was 7-8 games under 500, and it wasn't that far ago.
No,
and they turned it around. We had John Sandel. We had John Nunes on. I mentioned this already, and John, I saw they were going to be maybe a 3 seed.
Yeah, he did. He did say that.
And now they're like becoming a 2 seed. So things are very good in Green Nation.
Real fast, I just gotta say, I love seeing the Lakers suck.
Oh,
I love seeing LeBron suck.
Oh,
the
God.
Lakers suck. Westbrook suck. Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's awesome out there.
So I was watching a little bit of that game, right? So they're like on the 11th.
Oh,
seed, right?
they thought they were gonna beat Denver. I'm like, look at these. The fans are cheering. It's like your team sucks. Sit down.
Yes.
Even if they win this game, they still suck.
you got LeBron sitting there like the professor.
Yeah.
Not the professor they used to play hoop. Like Professor LeBron with his glasses on, right? And then Westbrook gets this dunk and he's all excited. Dude, you've been such a shitbag. What a shitbag you are. And he's all like, he gets into the lane, dunks. He goes, yeah. And I'm watching the game. I watched highlights of it. I
was actually watching the game.
I watched the highlights this morning. I'm like, because they were down, they were up, and they were down. And then I'm watching the highlights, Steve. And I can see the highlights. I'm looking at the score. They're just falling apart. They're falling apart. And Anthony Davis, who I think is a very good player. The guy's a great player. But, man, he put up 28 points. Still not good enough. Boy, I love watching.
I freaking love it, man.
I love watching them suck, too. And the Lakers, again, a very affordable, obviously, franchise. But that LeBron thing, and what he tries to do in the league, how he wants to dominate and control players and tamper and all these things.
You know what? This goes and shows he did that this offseason, and look at it, just blew up in his face. Okay.
Yep.
And Westbrook, I always like Westbrook, but he can't play in his hometown. He can't play for the Lakers. He needs to go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I think Anthony Davis, he needs to go somewhere else too. I think the Lakers need to start from square one.
Yeah, I think so too. So, if you're a Laker fan, I know we have one in the room. That is a Laker fan, and rightfully so. I mean, there's been some great players that go through there, but not this year. You guys are a bunch of smashed assholes. Let me tell you, it's like elbows and asses on the court. Boy, I love seeing them. They get so excited. We have the lead, and then we don't have the lead. You want to know why they don't have the lead? Because they can't defend, because they're lazy.
And egos there.
You got that. You got that right.
You got him. They switch. Most NBA players don't do this. They're so quick to just switch on a pick. They never fight through a pick.
Right. You're right.
Never. Oh, he got me on my pick. Oh, they flop. That's your guy. Jumper comes down the paint. Pick and pop. Boom. That's your guy. Before you know it, that's like a 4 to 6 to 8 to 12 points swing. Before you know it, it's a double-digit deficit, and you can't get out of it. You cannot get out of it. Defense is a mentality, and it's a buy-in. In any sport, but especially the NBA with threes and high points and all that, it's such a league that is predicated on the three, on offense, on dunking, on isolating players 1v1. They want to play it that way, and I know it's exciting, but you need to be able to make a stop in the back. That's what separates an NBA player from a kid that plays street hoop. Think about it. We've all messed around playing street hoop. Who the hell defends in street hoop? Nobody.
Skip to my Lou.
Skip to my yeah. And Professor, maybe? I don't know. I'm not sure if he's a great defender, but I'm saying like it's very rare.
No, you're right.
Right? And the NBA wants to. You're NBA players. You need to be a polished product. And you need to be able to defend better. So I enjoy seeing the block shot, the double, the steal. That I enjoyed that. One of the greatest plays in Boston Celtics history is a steal by Bird.
Yeah. Well, I was
so
just gonna say, you want a hot take real fast? I see LeBron going either back to Cleveland this offseason or the Sixers.
Do you want him? Do you want him on the Celtics?
I highly doubt he'll come to the Celtics.
Do you want him on the Celtics? Is the question. LeBron.
I can't stand him. I can't stand him. I don't know. I mean. I guess, yeah, I mean, whatever. We'll take him.
I don't want
talent,
him.
I just can't. I don't know if I can root for him. I just can't root for him.
You know why? I think he would ruin what's going on.
He's a prima donna.
I as wonderful. Listen, the guy is a top 3 players probably of all time. Top 5 at least.
But he needs the spotlight on him at all times. It's so annoying, dude. It's like you don't need to go on social media. You don't need to have the camera on you. Everybody knows who you are.
Yeah,
just play your game.
Was it you that told me that he gets excited about whatever hater is in the stands?
Yes, yes. So that is true. He looks.
You who made that sign from Staples construction paper? How dare you tell me that you're a hater?
Can you believe that the greatest basketball player of our time goes into opposing arenas and he looks for someone who hates him, and that motivates him? If that motivates you, buddy, get the hell out of the league, bro.
Larry Bird wasn't looking at anybody.
Give me a break.
No. You know what Larry Bird was doing? He was winning games with his left hand against the Portland Trailblazers.
I know a lot of people won't agree with me, but I'd rather take a Larry Bird over a LeBron James. I know I'm a little biased because he played here, but the guy played overall.
He played
just
basketball.
An overall game, exactly.
Yeah, he did.
The guy was a great defender. He was a great scorer. He was a great passer. Just great.
Everything. He was a team player.
His vision in the game, different era. I mean, but here's the thing about LeBron, and we'll go into our next segment here real quick. LeBron is a sensational passer. He's a sensational passer, and he's a very good defender. The guy's physique is grossly,
but he's known to give up.
But there's something in his makeup that I always figured out you should have one more championship.
When it gets hard, he kind of goes into a shell. That's it.
Is that a guy that should have 6 championships and be parallel to Jordan? I think with that talent, I think he should have been.
No, but Jordan did it with one team. And that's what I tell everybody. You can compare LeBron and Jordan, but at the end of the day, Jordan did it with one team. LeBron's over there going to this team and creating super team here, super team here. Jordan didn't do that.
No. Well, it's a good point, and I still think Jordan's the best player of all time, and I think Bird is right up there as well. 508-974-3040. And as we shift gears, we're going to go into Mr. Colby's favorite sport, and the baseball is in effect.
I thought it was tennis.
I thought it was cricket.
I was just going to say that.
Or table tennis.
Swimming.
Foosball. We had our man talking about foosball. Boy, did I learn a lot from that guy. Was that last week? Was that 2 weeks ago? Yep. That was really exciting. But baseball is here, folks. And I've been catching quite a bit of the preseason.
Me too.
And I've been enjoying watching them, mostly because the weather's so good down there. I just envy it.
You just get jealous.
I do. I do. But spring opening season, Colby, officially is
Thursday. Tomorrow is the Red Sox last spring training game, and then they head to New York. The Bronx play the New York Yankees Thursday, off Friday, finish the series Saturday and Sunday.
4-game series.
3-game series. They're
off. Oh, they're off.
You know how opening day they play Thursday in the afternoon, then they're off weird Friday, and then they play Saturday. Sunday.
Yeah. So right off the back, it's going to be an interesting matchup. Obviously, the Yanks Sox. Though I do think that rivalry has really fizzled out, Steve. And not quite the same.
The Yankees aren't the same. The Yankees used to be the team that used to get every player, every free agent, and believe it or not, they're not that same team anymore.
It's the Dodgers.
Well, and think about it. Even Trevor Story, it was between the Yankees, Red Sox, and guess what? He chose the Red Sox over New York. Yeah. I don't think New York's that sexy team.
Are you excited about Story?
Watching him in Colorado, he was a really, really good player. But of course, anybody that comes from Colorado, they always have that. Well, the ear's thin, you're playing in the ballpark.
Course field. Yeah.
But look at Nolan Arenado. He went to St. Louis, and he's been tearing the cover off the ball. What I like about Story is that, he could have been one of those prima donna players that no, I'm not switching positions. I'm a shortstop. I'm playing shortstop. But the fact that he's willing to play second base because we have Xander, obviously,
That's awesome.
that kind of shows me what kind of player he already is.
How do
know?
you feel about the fact that it came out today that Xander Bogaerts and Devers don't want to talk on any contract talks the whole season?
Everybody says that.
What do you think?
Think about that. Everybody says that, and then all of a sudden there might be a deal in the middle of the season when the money's in their face. What are they going to say? No.
What do you think about the fact of them potentially doing this game where, and Maz brought this up, and I had an idea about this, but he was a little more complete. So what happened, Steve, when I heard about Trevor's story come and go, my first instinct that I said to myself was, put Devers as a DH.
I was just thinking the same thing in my head.
Devers is a DH.
It's the next Ortiz.
And
Or even try him at first base. Why can't you try him at first base?
Yeah.
I think Dahlbuck's going to be the guy there.
I don't think so.
No?
I think Tristan Cassis, we might see him this year.
You think he's the guy?
That guy.
That kid can rake it.
That kid is unbelievable.
Yeah, that
you want to
kid's
see a
good.
first baseman? That's the guy.
Yeah.
Who is it?
Tristan Cassis. He's probably going to start the year AAA maybe.
Yeah. He's their number one prospect in the farm system for probably the last 3 years, 2 years.
Yeah, he's just.
But what I didn't take into account was the strategy that the Sox might take. Do you think that they're going to go to Xander and say, listen, we want to keep you, we want to put you in third base, but we want to pay you as a top tier third baseman? Because third basemen don't make as much as a shortstop or a second baseman. Does Xander take that deal? So third baseman, who plays third? Arenado play third?
Yes.
All right. So he's getting like 25 million or something
like that.
It's 27. So if they throw at Xander 24, 23, they might say, hey, we're giving you big money to play third. And it's not your distinct position, but you'll be in that top tier because we think you could be that good in that position. And now, will they tell Devers, hey, you're going to be our DH, but we're going to pay you as a top end DH. Sounds like a lot of work to get there.
I don't see it happening though, because the reason why I say that is because Bogaerts was a big advocate to bring Trevor Story here. He was a big guy to recruit him here, along with Cora. So I believe for him to do that, he knows that he's probably not going to go anywhere. And Bogaerts has been a guy to kind of sign early and not really chase the money. I mean, think about that.
He wants to win. He's definitely got a competitive
He
nature.
loves it here. I mean, I think he really enjoys being in Boston. The only problem is his agent, Scott Boras.
Yeah, and that guy's a problem. That guy's a huge problem. So, well, what is your prediction on the opening game?
I mean,
opening day.
I really think they should beat the Yankees, man. Yeah, I mean, Yankees got some good hitters.
Who's the arm?
And so it's going to be Garrett Cole, which remember people forget the Red Sox lit him up in that one game playoff last year at Fenway. So it's Garrett Cole versus Eovaldi. And as much as people like to talk about Eovaldi's been nails, man. That guy just pitches innings after innings after innings, and he's turned to be a really solid number 2.
I tell you, when I first saw him, Steve, it was the World Series. No, when I really saw him, he was in that team that beat the frauds and the cheaters of the Houston Astros.
Yes, sir.
2018. And he was nails. And then they wound up signing him, and I was like, oh man, they kind of paid him already. I want to tell you that contract, Steve, looks really
better and better by the day.
I
Really,
like Eovaldi.
Yeah, it's like the who was the guy in the Celtics that had the best contract going for a while. He plays on he plays for
Jay Crowder.
Yeah, that's kind of reminds me of Jay Crowder a little bit. You know,
but I mean, think about it though. Sale's out for they put him on the 60-day disabled list.
That
right?
guy, boy,
and Sale's supposed to be your number 1. So here comes Eovaldi now. So
that's the killer.
So to me, that money was worth it because ever since they gave him that money, he's been lights out, man.
Yeah. I was just going to ask you too. Are we ever going to get the old Sale back? I don't think we are.
Oh man, I don't know, man. That's not. Oh, man.
I mean, and just think about it. When he was healthy, that guy was another guy that was lights out, man.
You know what it is? I just think his pitching mechanics.
He's got a weird.
It's
weird
odd.
way
It's not a sidearm thing. It's like a 3/4 arm thing. But there's so much strain that he puts on that elbow.
You're right. Yeah.
And it's all arm. And we talked about this, I think, on the show. And Steve, you remember Nolan Ryan? Absolutely. You watch Nolan Ryan pitch. It was a whole body movement. Mm-hmm. Leg is up in the back, comes forward, plants. The whole momentum is moving forward. The arm is probably 30% 40%
Yes.
of the whole throwing motion. These guys, they barely kick their leg, and they're just whipping balls. And after a while, their arm gives out, and I think a lot of that is predicated on mechanics. Nolan Ryan played for so many years, like 20 years.
Something crazy like that.
Something
it was crazy. It was crazy.
And the guy was still good
Mhm.
when he left the Astros and he went to the Rangers. He was still dominant because of his mechanics.
You're right.
And yeah, it was maybe a little odd looking, the high leg coming up and throwing it down. But that longevity proved to be one of the greatest strikeouts, one of the best strikeout guys of all time.
I know it is, right?
Yeah. I mean, the guy was just a dominant force. On the he took the mound. It was almost guaranteed. And that when he went 7 innings, that was considered not a great outing. Now the baseball metrics, which I'm not looking forward to, Cole. So they're coming. What about the whole thing about the umps putting on their headphones and now they have to explain, Steve, what they're to the crowd what they're reviewing?
I saw that.
Another Ed Hockley, right? The ball hit the white chalk to the right of the line, therefore it is a foul. Like, give me a break. Was it foul or not? Just say
right.
Foul
was it a
not.
home run or not? Did he hit the bag or not? So I think we're going to see a lot of controversy with this. Instant replays here to stay. I mean, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, but to go back, I think the Red Sox will have. I mean, their offense is obviously going to be legit. They're going to go as good as their bullpen goes. So we'll see.
Over under 90 wins.
Over.
Steve, what do you think?
Yeah, I say like 98 wins.
98.
Yeah,
I have him going over as well.
I think a lot of people are down on him, like the national experts, but I think this team's going to surprise a lot of people. And people forget they have Alex Cora. Alex Cora makes that team go.
Speaking of Alex Cora, what's up with the beard?
Stress and age.
Wow. Boy, does he look like Papa Smurf. Let me tell you.
He really fast,
boy, did he age. When he shaved, he looks like he was 30. Now when he has that beard, he looks like he's 72. So I'm not sure what happened to Cora. I would suggest you shave that beard. However, if you are going to keep the beard, and we're going to get 90-plus wins this season, and you're going to have a beard like the beard of the great one and only, who's the guy that the redneck that had the beard for the Red Sox. He actually wound up winning a championship with the Astros, I think. What was his name?
Was it Rod Beck?
No.
Remember Rod Beck had that?
Oh
beard,
yeah,
right?
yeah. He had that nice. This guy had way worse. Oh man, I forget his name now. Short guy, pain in the ass. So either way, the beard, if it makes him win games, I guess he can keep it. So.
Yeah.
We got a few more minutes, folks. It's been a good, fun show. Steven, anything else that you want to add, plug away, whatever you'd like to discuss? Any new things coming out, that you have going on, any projects, anything you want to discuss, man?
I'd like to touch a little bit on your vent from the beginning of the show.
Okay, let's do it. If it's soccer talk,
I'd like to know I'd like to know why a team in New England hasn't gone out and actually got some Portuguese players. The fan base in this area is so huge with Portuguese, and I don't know. I always said that to myself, there's great players out in Portugal. Yeah. And I think that you can, and I'm not saying that playing for like Benfica, Sporting Porto, obviously you're not going to get those players because they're paying top dollar for those players. Yeah. But even like in our lesser teams of the even like second division, there's some great players in those leagues.
So it's a good question, and I've thought about it from time to time myself. So I will tell you that one of the two Orta brothers, I think it was Ricardo or Andre, one of those, might have been Andre. He actually played in the MLS for a little while. Both brothers are in Braga, on which they wound up kind of putting together the tag team on Friday, and they wound up knocking in a goal in Benfica once lost, so their season's over. I think that the Portuguese league has become the world pot of development. Their academies are some of the best academies in the world. And I think that their players, much like I think AAU basketball, they have this epiphany in their head that they're all going to make it. And the MLS is not even scratching the surface. They're thinking too big. They're thinking big. And I think a lot of those guys get burnt by the fact of waiting for that big chance. We look at Diogo Costa, Diogo Jota, right? Diogo Jota played for Gondomar for 8 years, third division team, nothing special. Then he went to Paços Ferreira for a couple of years. Then he went to loan Atletico Madrid. He played no games, no goals. Comes on loan for Porto. Porto lets him go. He goes to Wolverhampton. Now the rest of history is probably a top 10 center forward in the world. And I was watching the game the other day against Everton when he first got. What a nasty goal. That was disgusting. The ball comes in. He sweeps the ball. He megs himself, gets in the box, top corner, left foot. Have a nice day. 5'10" guy. No one thought anything great of him. He's a dominant force. I think a lot of it is predicated on the attitude that Portugal has. Those players, they just want to have that opportunity to play in the Benfica Sporting Porto in Europe. And I think they're doing themselves an injustice because the MLS is growing.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
And if I'm an MLS now from a Revolution fan, I will be scouting in Portugal constantly because there's a lot of players there. Brazil, number 1, Portugal, number 2, as far as finding just there's so many academies, so many teams. And I think around here it would be so easy to convince because you're right. Much like, again, in LA too. I mean, LA doesn't have a lot of Portuguese people, but California has
San Jose,
San Jose, Santa Clara. Right, there's a lot of Portuguese people out there, but especially here in Massachusetts, where it's such a small state,
it'd be an easier transition just because of the amount of people that speak Portuguese.
Oh, I think so too. No question about it. I think it would be a no-brainer. And there's a lot of players, that I could think of that will probably do really well in the Revolution. Players that I've seen play, in even this year in the league. There's some players in Santa Clara, right in the Azul, San Michael, that could probably do a real nice job here. That would not be crazy money. We're getting these players, from Argentina, Boca Juniors, and Ecuador, and all these other places, and Spain, and all. Like Spain's right next door. They got Carlos Gil. They're gonna find somebody there. I think it will eventually come. The tendency is going to be like the later superstars, maybe like a Ronaldo, maybe coming over because now it's the big name and following that that Beckham formula. But I would love to see it happen, Steve. I think there's a lot of talent to be dealt there, and I think that's what it comes down to. I think it comes down to the mentality out there and the MLS not thinking they have a chance because those kids are already so predicated on wanting to go far. That player Nuno Tavares that played for Benfica, he went for cheap money. He went for really cheap money to go play for Arsenal. He's not playing.
No, he's not.
He's a good player.
Got to wave a carrot in front of their face.
Yeah. That's it.
Have some big wig here, Portuguese speaking big wig over there, and try to sweeten the pot.
Yeah, I think you're definitely onto something with that. I would love to see something like that where they bring that tenacity to the game, they bring that skill, that European skill set to the game. The MLS is growing, like I said, it's growing at a good pace. It really is. Youth soccer is growing at a rapid pace, fastest growing youth sport. But I think it just comes down to they want that big attitude, and the Revolution, I think, might just be a little eerie about going there because they feel like they have no chance, and I think they do. I think the Crafts have a lot of money. They have those 3 players that are designated players, and Carlos Gil and Gustavo Bo are not going to be here forever. Adam Buxa probably will stay. There was already talks about him going to Europe. Carlos Gil at some point, he's got a lot of miles. That guy. You're going to have those 3 players that basically the cap is irrelevant. Go get a big name guy, and Portugal might be a good place to start. So there you have it, folks. That is our show for tonight. Hope you enjoyed it. It was a great talk. We talked about a lot of different things. We touched on different bases with the NFL and the MLS and the NBA and NCAA, and of course your Red Sox that have their opening day Thursday against your nemesis, the New York Yankees. So we have our wins, losses, and what we think. So if you didn't catch the show, make sure to chime in and go find the show. We'll be sharing it. Steve, thank you so much for coming on, my man.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
I really enjoyed having you here, dude. Watch his show Wednesday nights, 7 p.m. He'll be on. You want to watch it. It's hilarious. It brings tears to your eyes, and you want to be entertained after those abysmal working days with your crappy boss. So make sure you chime in on his show. He's got a great show. So we're going to wrap up. As always, we have our number 1 and sponsor that we have for our show, and that is the great folks at Troy City Mortgage and their partners over at the Walsh Title and Closing, who work together to bring you the best home buying experience. Troy City Mortgage is the best place to get a mortgage in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. Led by the great David Pereira, the team at Troy City Mortgage have local roots and deep knowledge and expert solutions to get you the best mortgage possible. Give them a call at 508-207-5864. That's 508-207-5864. And of course, you can't have one without the other. That Walsh Title and Closing for all those closing and title needs. Give them a call at 508-858-5725. That's 508-858-5725. Have a great night, folks. We'll see you again next week. Same time, same station. I'm Nelson.
I'm Colby.
Steven Melo.
And there you have it. And we are out. Have a great night. Peace.